Okay, I'm going to start going over the practice quiz question by question, trying to break it down for you. The forces that make economies work are B, supply and demand. Okay, if a seller is in a competitive market, chooses to charge more than the going price, then. So what is a competitive market? A competitive market has thousands and thousands of sellers. So if one person raises that price, you're just going to go buy at a different. So it's D, buyers will make purchases from other sellers. What I'd be aware of is them asking you questions about other types of markets, like oligopolies that have 2 to 10 companies in the market, or a monopoly that only has one company in the market. All right. A competitive market is going to have the lowest prices because it has thousands and thousands of sellers, each pretty much selling a fairly identical product. So therefore, you can't raise your price because if one person raised their price, people are just going to buy from the other. Ford Motor Company announces the next month will offer 3,000. So a rebate is like a coupon. So you're going to get 3,000 off on new Mustangs next month. As a result of this information, well, if I know next month I could get 3,000 off, less people are going to buy now because the car is going to be more expensive. It's expectations. Again, it's expectations on the price, not the cost. Okay, so cost is a supply expectation. Price is a demand. So it's going to shift demand to the left. B as in broccoli. Suppose there's a decrease in the price of good X. If there's a decrease in the price of good X, more people are going to buy good X. And then if there's fewer units sold of good Y, good X and good Y are substitutes, right? Because if the price of good X goes down, then the demand for good Y goes down. So they're going to be substitutes, D as in dogwood. Now, I would know if they phrase that, suppose the price of good X results in fewer. So instead of suppose the price of good X results in fewer units, it's more units of good Y being sold. Well, if people are buying more of good X and good Y, they must be complements, right? Because if the price of good X goes down, say the price of hot dogs go down, more people buy hot dogs than good Y would be hot dog buns, they demand more. So understand they could ask you about complements. Normal inferior goods, also distractors here, are more related to income. Normal goods are demand, income up, demand up. Inferior goods, income up, demand down. Okay. An upward movement along the demand curve. Okay, so what would that look like? Let's just quickly draw a demand curve and go from B to A. Okay, I know when I slide along the curve like this, it's going to be, right, a change in quantity demanded. Okay, so it's going to be a decrease in quantity demanded. All right, and the answer there is C as in Caroline. I would look for maybe them asking you a similar question about supply, where you just have to draw the supply curve similar to what I just did there for the demand curve, okay? Or maybe flipping it and, going down the demand curve or down the supply curve. That's like a question I might be looking for on the quiz. Which of the following events would definitely result in a higher price in the market? Demand for Snickers increase. All right, I'm going to just scroll down if I can. Well, I might not be scrolling anywhere here. Hold it. Here it is. Let's see if I get it over here. Yeah. All right. I'm going to scroll down to these graphs that are already made for me. Otherwise, I graph them, but these graphs are already made for me. So which of the following events would eventually result in a higher price? Demand for Snickers increases. All right, that's graph A. If I look at graph A, demand for Snickers increase, price up, quantity up, okay? Now, I know whenever there's these double shifters, I need to use two graphs. So the second situation is demand for Snickers increase and supply of Snickers decreases. So that's D, a leftward shift is the supply decrease. I've got price up and I've got quantity down. Okay, so I go back to the question, which of the following events would result in a higher price? It's going to be A, because in both these scenarios, price goes up. Now, A just happened to be the answer. So I'm just going to tell you the way I had to do it. I would have had to go through all of them and by trial and error, pick out which one was the answer. A there, luckily, just was the answer right there, right? So that was which of the following would result, and we used both the demand graph where price increased and a decrease in supply, which increased price. So we know price had definitely had an increase. Now, they could give you a double shifter, which I think they're giving you in the next problem. So we'll look at it there. When supply and demand both increase, okay? So let's again look at these, all right? We know we need two graphs. So when demand increases, which we just did before, we get right here, demand increases. I know it increases because there's a shift to the right. I got price up. And I've got quantity up. All right. All right. So that gives me that. Then they also asked here, what happens if demand and supply increases? All right, here is my supply increase. I know because supply is shifting to the right. I have here price down, quantity up. So in this one, I know price is indeterminate. It could go up, down, or stay the same, but I know quantity is going to increase. So let me go back to the problem and see which answer I'm going to pick. All right, so let's scroll back up to the problem. And here it is. It's D, price may increase, decrease, or remain unchanged, right? Price up or down. So it'd be D as in dogwood for that one, okay? So again, there were two examples of double shifters there. You have to use the graphs separately and then put the price and quantity and figure out which ones are going into the same direction. All right. Now, figure 14. Now they're going to ask you, these four graphs are going to be on your quiz. And they're going to ask you questions about them. So right now, I would look at each graph and just know what it represents. So panel A is an increase in demand. How do I know that? The whole demand line shifts. I've got an increase in demand in panel A, and then I have sliding up this, I go from A to B on the supply curve. So that is an increase in quantity supplied. All right. So I have an increase in demand and an increase in quantity supplied. That's what the A graph represents. The B graph, I have a decrease in demand. How do I know? The arrow's going to the left. This should actually be like D or D1, but not a good job labeling it there. Okay. And then I go here down the supply curve from B to A. So I have a decrease in demand at B and a decrease in quantity supplied. Now, I go to panel C. I have an increase in supply. I know that because I have two supply curves, the arrow's going right. So I'm increasing supply. Now, demand, I'm sliding down the demand curve from A to B. So I have an increase in quantity supplied. And then finally, I have supply going left, right? Correct, the arrow there. And I'm going up the demand curve from B to A. So I have a decrease in supply and a decrease in quantity demanded. If you go through those four and you know that, you're probably going to be able to answer all the questions they could ask you about these four graphs, okay? So we could leave that up for now, and then let's look at some of the questions and we could refer back to our graphs. Question number 8 is, refer to panel B, which of the following is? So I go to panel B, I know there's a decrease in demand, right? Because it's pointing left. I'm sliding from B to A, so it's a decrease in demand and a decrease in quantity supplied. So A, as in alpha, is my answer. Which of the four panels illustrates an increase in quantity demanded? I look at panel C, I slide from A to B, quantity demanded increases because I'm sliding down the demand curve. So I'm going to look for panel C as my answer, and that's C as in Caroline. All right. Now I'm going to go to refer to figure 414. Which of the following four panels represents the market for winter coats as we progress from winter to spring? All right. As we're going to spring, the demand for winter coats is going to decrease. I would call that taste and preference. People are not in the spring needing winter coats. So where does demand decrease? I look for a leftward shift of demand. I find that in panel B. So it's B as in broccoli. All right. So on all of these are the type of questions they could ask. Now, they might ask them about C and D and A, but if you know each one of these, which one increases demand and increases quantity supplied, and decreases demand and decreases quantity supplied, if you could identify that on the graphs, I think the questions they ask you then are going to be easy for you to then answer. All right, let me just clean this up a little. Okay. All right. Question 11. At the price of $20, which of the following statement is not correct? The market is at equilibrium because at $20, quantity supplied is 600 and quantity demanded is 600. Equilibrium price is equilibrium. No, that's not correct. The equilibrium price is 20 and the quantity is 600. They are not equal. So B as in broccoli is the answer there. Now, they then ask you for number 11, or number 12 rather, at the price of 15, quantity demanded, well, let's put a line there at the price of 15. So we could, all right, so we're going across here. This, whoops, we now have a disequilibrium. So at the price of 15, and the line should have been here and here. I just didn't draw a good line. Okay, so let's quantity demanded exceeds quantity supplied. That's true. There is a shortage, right? More people are demanding than are supplying. There's an excess in demand. Yes, there's more demand than supply. Market for, yes, because if you have like 600 people wanting your product and you only have 300 products, you'll raise prices. So E as in Ellen, all of the above are correct. Okay, now, what could you expect? I could expect them, instead of asking that, to maybe ask you at 15, what is the shortage? Okay, and you would have to just like look down. People are demanding 700 and you have 400. The shortage is 300. They could ask you how much is quantity demanded, how much is quantity supplied. they could pick a different number like 10 and ask you the same questions. So I'd be, ready for all those type of questions. All right, I hope this was helpful, and good luck on your quiz.